What is going on, guys? This is Versus All Gaming with my review of Naruto chapter 670, and I'm not gonna lie, this chapter right here, it was amazing. This chapter I was definitely digging in, and it seemed that I was wrong in my last review, because Naruto did not come back to life exactly, but he had awakened inside his mind though. And so the chapter, it starts off with us seeing him awaken, and of course now he's like wondering where he is. And of course he's like wondering, if he died. And so now we see that like he not alone and somebody's there with him. And apparently, the person that he's talking to, Naruto really can't understand who he is. And of course, Naruto is like asking him who he is. And so we see now that the person who's actually here with him, he says that he is the creator of peace, law, and order. And he is the one who is known as Hagoromo, who we all know is the original sage of Sixth Path. And so I didn't realize that the sage here had 3 eyes, and his third eye here also had the Rinnegan. That right there is awesome. But of course, Naruto here, he's left kind of speechless right now. And when the sage is talking to him, Naruto has no idea what he's saying, but he actually does see his Rinnegan though. And of course, Naruto points that out. So basically, right now Naruto can't understand him at all. And throughout the conversation here, Naruto does try to get him, to talk to him to speed things up, and he also tried to get him to change the way he was talking. And at one point where we saw the Shades talking here, it reminded me of the way Killer B talked. I don't know why, but it just did. I'm pretty sure you got picked up on that as well. So that right there was really hilarious, and it's also kind of amazing here how Naruto can actually talk to the sage here, the guy that had made ninjutsu, or supposedly, because we actually learned that right there wasn't the case. But the way he talked to him, without any respect, I will say that it is disrespectful. But then again, it is Naruto after all, and this guy is not the smartest tool in the shed. I believe that's how the saying goes. But we all know that Naruto here isn't the brightest. But eventually, him and the sage here, they actually do, they actually do be able to come to communicate. And we see here that the sage, he didn't make ninjutsu, but he made ninshu. Hopefully, I'm saying that right. And so now that we know that he made ninshu for peace and ninjutsu, which is made for war. That right there, is so important to know, because now we know the key differences in terms. So if he didn't make ninjutsu, then it's who did? Because he made ninshu. And so now we see that to the sage here, he actually, Naruto here actually reminds him of his son Asura, and that right there, plays a key point in the chapter, and not only that, in the entire story. So that right there is definitely very important to note here. And so now we actually see Asura as well, because it was they were standing on water, and whenever they were these ripples, we could actually see different things. And so now we saw Asura for the first time. We actually see we actually learn about the sage here, and and his past as we kind of go to the flashback. And so now we see that he kind of starts off with this tale about his mother. And now that I see his mother, clearly Kaguya, I will say that she reminded me, of the demon in the demon seal jutsu, and I will get into that a bit. But he was saying, that his mother, she had come to pluck the fruit of the sacred tree, which we all know that already. And we see now with the power that she gained from eating the fruit, she was able to rule over the land. And so Naruto here was asking him all these questions, is he stronger than you, and where she came from. And he also asked them, is it true that mothers are scared when they get angry? And so for some reason, the sage here, he did not say where she came from, even though I would love to hear that, because that right there, could have been an important place to know about. But we see that his mother, she actually was pretty powerful, and that means that she was also powerful than him, because everybody always talk about the sage, but nobody really talk about his mother. So Kaguya here was actually stronger than her kids, even though her son is the one that made history. And so now he was saying that people called his mother the rabbit goddess or the demon, and they worship her in fear. So when he said the demon, it kind of confirmed Martha's position here that she is the demon in Jutsu, because it makes so much sense. But then we find out that the sage here, he actually had a brother, and he said, to repent for their mother's sins, they actually fought the Jubi and they sealed them into themselves. So that means that the sage here, he was not the only one to have the power, but his brother did as well. And I do wonder how come they like never mention his brother, but just him. That right there is kind of weird, especially when they both fought it and still didn't themselves. Maybe it was because this brother, Hagoromo, maybe he was the one that actually used the power and the brother didn't, but he just kept it stored up. I'm not really sure, but that right there, could have been very important to note. So then we go, later on down the line, when he had his two children, and he named one Indra, and the other one named was Asura, of course, and he both taught them ninjutsu, not ninjutsu, ninjutsu. So he was teaching them, the way of hope and peace, not the way to create war. So that right there goes to show you that he did not want it to happen with his sons. But we actually learned that that Indra here, he was the one that was like blessed with like these strong genes, and Asura here was kind of like the useless one and like the letdown. And so now like Naruto here can kind of understand, like why the sage is comparing him to Asura. And not only that, he actually makes out, just like he also points out this is a very important note. Like no matter how spectacular or how superior the abilities of the parents are, it doesn't mean that the kid is going to come out the same way, because we all know that when Naruto first started, he struggled a lot. So of course now like Naruto feeling kind of down, but the sage here is just smiling because he knows. I'm pretty sure that he could tell how hard Naruto had to work for his power and not be blessed with everything, because it has been a very difficult journey for Naruto throughout the series. That right there, you definitely got hands to Naruto for that, because he has overcome so much. And that's why the sage here actually says that Naruto resembles him so much of Asura, because now we see that even though Indra was like called a genius, his brother here, thanks to all this like hard training he had went to, and because he actually found love to protect others, he was able to like reach onto his brother level. And that's why the sage here had made the choice to like split up the Jubi into the nine-tailed beast that we all know today. And that's why he also made Asura here the leader, and planned on giving him all nine-tailed beasts. And what he wanted was for Indra here to actually agree to that, and possibly help out his brother. But it turns out that Indra would not accept that. And so at that moment, we see that they were here with the threat of a long war. And so we see Indra, he has the perfect Susanoo, and we have Asura here. I'm not really sure how to describe it. It's like some nine-tailed chakra mode, but it's also combined with like a sage mode, as we see all the black orbs as well. So that panel right there, it definitely looked freaking awesome. I definitely like that a lot. That panel was like freaking amazing. But the sage here, he was saying that even though their bodies were destroyed, their chakras that would like build up, it did not disappear, and it was reborn throughout the ages. And so now Naruto here was actually wondering who was the ones being possessed by that now. And the sage tell him that it's Naruto. Asura was like reborn into him, and it's obvious that Sasuke here was reborn of Asura. I mean, was of Indra. So that must mean that during Madara's time at Hashirama was Asura, and Madara was Indra. It should make perfect sense. But I am curious, because we all know that Madara and Hashirama, those two are legendary ninjas. So I wonder, the people that came after them, because Madara didn't die. So who exactly did the Indra? I mean, not. Yeah, who exactly did Indra, be reborn into? Because Madara did die, at some point he did die eventually, but I'm pretty sure Indra was like reborn before his death. But it is cool that Naruto is the reincarnation of Asura rather than being the reincarnation of the sage himself. But that right there does not mean that Naruto can't be on a sage level, because I do feel like at the end of the series he will become a sage actually. But like I said, this chapter, it was very good. I definitely enjoyed it. It is cool to see, Naruto meeting a sage, and I feel like that, Sasuke should meet him as well. But I don't think that they're gonna show that, because it'll basically, be the same thing, except they're gonna focus more on Asura. I mean, they're gonna focus more on Indra than Asura. But because Asura here was the one that was actually picked, I feel like we don't need to see Indra too much. But hopefully we will see like this battle they had, because I would love to see the power of that they had, because we already saw a perfect Susanoo, and we saw like a Sage Mode Nine-Tailed Fox. So what else could they have power wise? So I would love to see them like focus on this a little more. But like I said, it's pretty cool that Naruto is meeting a sage. But like I said, the chapter, I definitely enjoyed it a lot. It is pretty cool. So I give it like a pretty good rating, because to me, this chapter right here, it was definitely great. But as always, please do not forget to like the video and subscribe, because that really helps me out. And you guys take it easy, and I will see you all next time.